How's it going, guys? So I'm getting ready to do another install, and this one is going to be this Garmin Powerswitch. Reason being is I'm going to clean up my engine bay and mount my lighting, or run my lighting into this so I can control my lighting through Bluetooth. And along with the power switch, I'm going to add a bus bar for all the grounds and a couple circuit breakers. So the 120 I'm going to use on the Garmin, and the 100 amp I'm going to use on this fuse block. Fuse block I'm going to be using for everything that I don't want connected to the Garmin, and everything else I got here is for making my electrical connections. I'm also installing this Morimoto 4-banger. This is the HXB wide white. So right now I have the NCS, the lower version of that light, mounted on my ditch lights, and there was a Labor Day sale, so I ended up getting those. I'm gonna swap them out and find out another mounting place for the ones I got up there right now. I already did some work. So if you look in here, I made this aluminum bracket which goes down, and I'm using that corner bolt down there. So that bolt. This is all angled aluminum. You notice every joint I put 2 bolts in to prevent everything from pivoting, and I used a riv nut on this side, and I just bolted, had to drill through this pinch weld, and I installed a socketed cap screw. So pretty sturdy. If you look in our engine bays for this truck, not much to work with. A lot of people have been mounting stuff on here, as well as me. This is my current setup. I got all my accessories going onto here. I just cut this out of rubber, but this is a terminal block, and you see all my wires. Pretty much like a rat mess up in here, so I'm going to fix that and clean everything up. So I did cut out a template for where I'm gonna mount everything. This is it, cardboard, and what I did was I just took a couple measurements and basically made a general shape of a platform that I can use, and from here I'm gonna cut it out onto this piece of aluminum, which I already laid out the shape already that I want. I'm getting ready to tackle that right now. And this ain't gonna be the final shape. It's just I just made a bigger platform so I can figure out how I'm gonna situate all of this stuff onto there. Once I do, I'll most likely trim it down even more. So that's where I'm at right now. If you notice, I have a lot of wires, so one of my tasks that I need to do is figure out what wires go to where, because I do not remember what I did over the last few years. So especially with all my projects that I do, it's hard to keep track. I should have labeled them when I did install them. I learned my lesson, and I'm probably going to temporarily label them with this when I find out what each one goes with. So there's different colors, but it's just stickers. Temporarily label them with that, and I have a label maker here that I just got, and this will allow me to print right onto some heat shrink tubing, or right now I think what I got in there is self-laminating vinyl. So it prints onto there and I can just wrap it around the wire, but I'm most likely going to use the heat shrink. So that's where I'm at right now. Okay guys, so I was able to cut out that aluminum plate with my cutoff wheel and lay out all the components. Drilled out some holes. Got these holes drilled out for the fuse block and the negative, or the ground terminal. Garmin is mounted, and the breakers. So the initial aluminum plate I cut out was the same size as this board, and I just played around with, I guess, the orientation of everything until I finally made up my mind on how I was going to mount everything. So that's about what I ended up with. And I'll show you how it'll look in the truck. I just finished. I spent all morning trying to figure out where all these wires ended up, and unfortunately I still need to use this guy, but I labeled it, and I only have 3 accessories in this terminal now. Vice, I think I had about 9 things connected to that thing. This plate is gonna mount right onto this bracket, just like that. I drilled 3 holes into the bracket, and I'm gonna secure it with 1/4" fasteners. This one, I left this unbolted because actually I probably could have got to that hole even if it was connected, but much easier. Okay, so I'll bolt this down. I still need to cut some wiring for the battery, so I'll do that as well and wire everything up, and I'll show you guys the final product. Okay, so I finally got the fog light kit in from Baja Designs. I'm getting ready to mount those into my fog light location. As far as the Garmin Powerswitch and all of the wiring, everything else is hooked up, and this is what it looks like. All my wiring that goes underneath. I use the label maker and it prints out on some heat shrink, so everything is labeled now. So as far as what this does, you can control all your inputs from these buttons or from your cell phone or your mobile app. So you just gotta download the Garmin Powerswitch app, and right now I have it on this phone that I'm using right now, and also on my tablet in the truck and on my head unit in the truck. So right now I have my ditch lights installed. I swapped those out for the Morimoto HXBs, and like I said I was gonna do earlier, I put the other Morimotos up here. So those are my side fogs. As far as the wiring, I just bought some extra connectors and I ran the far one over this way, use a splitter. If you can see, the splitter runs down through here and under the cab and comes back into the engine bay. And that's what this is. On this side I have my roof LEDs, and the roof are those Baja rock lights that's built into my handles. So I got 4 of those, and I ended up running a diode for that as well. If you can see on this side, that's my diode. One input is coming from the Garmin, and the second one I put a push button right there, so I can control the roof rack lights with that button or with the Garmin. What else? This fuse block, I just put my air horn. I have a electric horn, so my air horn, electric horn, my hood LEDs, and my LEDs that I have in my bed. So this is constant power, and I just use LED strips for my roof, my hood. And I also have a detachable, just in case I want to shine it in my engine bay. So I just use some Velcro for that. What else? So the 120 amp goes to the battery, comes out this way and into the Garmin, and my 100 amp goes to the fuse block. Kind of overkill for that fuse block because I was actually planning on running my compressor, my kicker subwoofer, and my Aries powered running boards on there, but I ended up leaving on that terminal, and then I just put all the smaller amp stuff on here. This ground terminal goes all the way to my battery ground, and that's where I am at actually. So right now planning on running my fog lights into the number 2 spot. To open this guy up, you just twist and top comes off. To pair it, big button right there, you just hold it down, and when you open the app, it'll prompt you to pair it. Very easy. I can show you that when it gets nighttime, or as far as how the app works, I can show you how the app works when it gets a little later. As you can see, power. I have ground, so this ground actually goes back to the battery as well. And if you notice, I have this switch right here. So this is a control input. So you have 2 of these. What I did is I wired in my existing switch that I had in my truck, that was actually used for my ditch lights. So I wired this in, and on the app you can program it to turn on whatever input you want. So if I wanted it to turn on all 3, I just go into the app and program this switch to turn on all 3 when I push it. You can wire in, whatever you want. If you want something to turn on with your headlights, you'll just have to pull power from your headlight or your highlights. Sorry. If you want to turn, say, your ditch lights on when your highlights go on, you need to find that highlight wire and then tap into that. So it'll see power when your highlight turns on, and you can program it to whatever. So that's basically how this Garmin Powerswitch functions, and I think it came out pretty good as far as my mount. Everything is out of the way. That ratness I had on this side, gone. I just have a couple wires now there, but much nicer. And like I said, back to that diode that I have in that corner, that is for these. So this runs along here and plugs into one of those inputs, and then, like I said, the other one plugs into the push button, and your output side, that's your positive to your LEDs. My plan was to do that to my bed LEDs too, but I'm leaving for a trip soon, so and I ain't going to be back until next year. I don't think I'm gonna have time to do that, but I do have time to install my fogs. So this is everything that came with the kit, minus the yellow fogs. I actually bought that from a bike, and what I'm doing is I'm just pretty much laying everything out. I'm probably gonna do like a mock-up install on the ground, and then once I know I have everything good to go, I'll do it on the truck. I'll keep that as another video. And the reason why I have all 3 of these lights out right now is because this is the 2 that came with the kit. There wasn't a yellow option, and I was planning on putting fog lights on my bike already, so I ended up buying the yellows separately for the bike. And I actually decided now that I'm gonna run these 2 on the truck and the clear or the white on the bike. So they'll probably go right onto my crash bar down there. Anyway, that's for another video. So yeah, I'll wait till it gets dark and I'll show you how that power switch works. And in the meantime, I'll start assembling these fog lights. Okay guys, let me explain to you this switch right here. So this switch is the one that I wired into the Garmin, and what that does is it triggers pretty much whatever I want it to trigger, right? So right now, if I was to push this, if I was to go outside, I have it triggering 3 things. Okay, I have it triggering my ditch lights, my upper fogs, and the side rack lights. Okay. If you were to pull up the screen, I have it on my tablet as well, but my tablet's on battery saving mode, so it's no color. So I'll show you guys what it looks like on my head unit. Okay, so if I wanted to program that input, you see the top one, control input 1, and all the check mark boxes is what I want that switch to turn on. Right? Other things you can do with this is there we go. So you can also edit, you know, the buttons, the colors, and what's you can also do is say you wanted to let me turn off my lights real quick. Okay, so say you wanted to go more momentary, right? You can go momentary if you wanted to, or strobe, right? So if I wanted it to strobe, I don't know, right now it's half a second on and half a second off, but we can go change that, right? We can go to 1 second on, 1 second off, and we can test it. Right? That's what it looks like. Right? We can go shorter. Right? Let's try 0.2 seconds. So you can play around with it. I don't really need to strobe anything, so I'll leave it on normal. But this is your button color options. You can change the icon to any of these, and that's about it. So right now I have control of my ditch lights, my fog lights, the side floods, the lights on my racks. So that's the rock lights I have up here. Let me get a bit better picture. Right, there's the top. And I did wire in my bed lights. So that's those guys right there. Okay. So as far as this unit, I did some research, and I was initially looking at the Switch Pros, and I was trying to figure out where I was going to mount it in here. From that research, it brought me to this Garmin unit, and because I don't need 8 inputs, 6 is just fine for my use. Right? what you guys think. Alright.
I and I strive until the end of my days. Rasta